Canadian hockey fans dreaming of the Stanley Cup being raised north of the 49th parallel will have to wait another year. The Winnipeg Jets have been grounded. Now, as much as today's elimination stings, it was a great run for the team and for the city. I know it may not feel that way for Jets fans right now, but as Aaron Broman tells us, it was a stellar season.
Excitement was high inside the Winnipeg Whiteout today as Jets fans geared up for a do-or-die battle with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Feeling really excited. You know, I really hope that they win this game and extend it. But win or lose, we're still proud of them. Yes.
A record number showed up again, as they have so many times before, hoping their sheer energy would help push the boys to victory.
I loved every minute of it. You know, there's nothing better than walking into, the street party and getting goosebumps, or even getting on the bus and getting goosebumps, and then you get in, in the arena and you got goosebumps for, 2.5 hours.
But as the game wore on, the excitement turned to tension, even fear. The Golden Knights drew first blood in the first period. The Jets tied it up, but Vegas went ahead again in the second period, without answer from Winnipeg. And then it was over. Fans were crushed.
It's a dagger in the heart, but there's a lot of promise. I still feel that the better team didn't win this series. The Jets are a better team, top and bottom.
I'm happy that they got this far, but I'm also really disappointed that they couldn't win the Stanley Cup.
But for Jets players, it wasn't a loss. It was the devastating end of a Cinderella season.
You got the heart and the character, and those are two things you can't teach. You either have it or you don't, and I think this team has it.
But despite the pain, Winnipeg can hold its head high. The Jets have helped revitalize their city ever since the triumphant return to the league in 2011. But this season was a true Cinderella run. They smashed through the Minnesota Wild. They tamed the Nashville Predators. And even though the Vegas Golden Knights proved too much, Winnipeg fans are already looking ahead to next year.
We're going to lick our wounds. We're going to come back stronger next year, more powerful, and it's optimism, something the city has been yearning for 30 years.
While fans from the rest of the country offer thanks and a salute for a valiant effort that won't be forgotten. Aaron Broman, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, you can decide whether the best team won, but one thing is clear. The team that beat the Jets is having an unbelievable playoff run of their own. The Las Vegas Golden Knights will play for the Stanley Cup in their very first season. When you think of the great teams that didn't make it this far, you can see that Vegas has already done the incredible. Serious talk of Vegas getting a franchise only started about 3 years ago. The deal signed in 2016. The Golden Knights lacing up for the first time in September. And they have been setting expansion team records ever since. Most wins, most points. First expansion team to make the playoffs since the Edmonton Oilers and the Hartford Whalers in 1980, and those were already established teams, those two. They were the first expansion team to go all the way to the finals since the St. Louis Blues in 1968, but you may remember the Blues only beat other expansion teams to get to the final. One last note we'd like to point out, the Golden Knights roster overwhelmingly Canadian. Now, as many of you know all too well, it's been 2.5 decades since any Canadian team raised the Stanley Cup. That's when the Habs brought it home in 1993. It's fitting, perhaps, the last Canadian team to hoist the cup is also the team that has won it more than any others. But back in '93, some fans spoiled the celebration by rioting. The last Canadian team to even appear in the finals, well, that was the Vancouver Canucks in 2011. They lost to the Boston Bruins after a hard-fought 7 games. And for the second time in 17 years, a Canucks loss in the final led to a night of destructive riots.